In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
Level of carbohydrate intake is absolutely necessary for humans to consume. Mainstream health experts like to claim that you need to consume an obligate amount of carbs like whole grains and cereals in your diet for energy, fiber, lowering disease risk, vitamins and minerals, and satiety. But in human physiology, the mandatory requirement for carbohydrate intake in the body is exactly zero. That's right, zero. Any glucose-dependent functions in the brain, heart, and muscles can very easily be fulfilled through the conversion in the liver of some of the protein and fat you eat through a process known as gluconeogenesis. This doesn't mean you need to eat zero carb, but you don't have to eat any carbs to be healthy.
Simplified short-form keto videos found exclusively at ketowhiteboard.info. Watch it, share it, live it.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live, and we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website if you want to engage in the show live. We do try to go live on Instagram a couple times a day, so go follow me there at Living Low Carb Man, LivinLowCarbMan. Once you're there, you can engage live in the content, just like all these beautiful people coming in right now. Thanks for being here, you guys. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours on Instagram. After 24 hours, it does disappear, so go follow all my past episodes over on YouTube. Type in the keyword search Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. Finally, we have a Jimmy Rants podcast on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. JimmyRants.com is the website. Today's Jimmy Rants is all about disappointment that happens in your life. Now, you guys know I love to talk about nutritional health, and I think that as a foundational principle in your healthy lifestyle is so critically important. But I'm having a burden on my heart lately, you guys, to talk more and more about the life circumstances that even the best diet in the world will not be able to overcome. And I think one of these is where we go through life and we have things happen to us that are less than desirable. And I know so many of you will relate with this because we've all gone through those times where we've been disappointed by something in our life, some life circumstance, something that has led us down the rabbit hole of not being able to have things happen the way we expected them to happen. So what I want to talk about here today is when life gives you those disappointments, and they're inevitable. Most of us right here today, we're dealing with them. But when life deals those to you, turn it into an opportunity to improve. So let me give you some examples in my life. So before I started doing what I do now for a living, for the longest time, always felt like I would get to a certain point with a company that I worked for, and I felt like I had gifts and talents that could help in various areas. And I remember always applying for those jobs. One very famous one in my history of being able to maybe go into a marketing type of job, which you guys know my brain never stops working with marketing stuff. And so I thought, okay, I don't have any training in that, but I know I could add so much value to them. And I remember that feeling when I was passed over for the job as unqualified, how disappointed I was. But you know what it did for me? I could have wallowed in it. I could have said, okay, maybe they're right. Maybe I don't have the talent and the skill that I thought I did. No, what I did was I turned it into an opportunity so that someday when the time came that I could start working for myself, I turned that into an opportunity to prove them wrong. And now today I'm much more successful than I ever would have been in that marketing job that I thought I wanted to do and that I thought I had skills and talents that I could do. So that disappointment at the time was very fresh and real at that point. And now I look back and go, oh, thank God. Thank God I did not get that job, because I would have given them lots of ideas that then I wouldn't be able to take ownership of. They would have owned it. So that's just but one example. And I want you guys, because I know a lot of you deal with stuff in your life that you do feel sometimes disappointed in the way things turn out. I always want you to have this perspective of, okay, if something didn't work out, perhaps there's another better opportunity on the way. And I'm trying to, there's another example I want to share with you. This is a big one too, you guys. So back in 2010, 2011, I was getting all of these requests from Rodale Publishing. They're one of the big health publishers out there. I was getting all these requests from them to bring on authors that they had on their label on the Livin' La Vida Low Carb show. And so they wanted me to interview their authors, and it was about 10 or 12 in a row that they sent to me, and I started interviewing them. And so I thought, okay, maybe they think I have a platform for promoting their authors. Maybe they think it's a platform that I can now maybe write books for them. So I sent a proposal over to them to see if they would, hire me as an author, sign me as an author. This was 2011 that I did this. And I remember sending them the package of information, the proposal and everything. And then they wrote back to me, why would we hire you as an author? You're an unproven. And I'm like, well, you keep coming to me to promote your authors. Apparently you think my platform's pretty decent. So forgive me for assuming that you thought that I had a platform that I could promote books. Well, we're not interested. And I was very disappointed at the time, because I'm like, I know I have the ability to write. I know I connect with people personally in my writings. I just didn't understand at the time. Well, I turned that disappointment into an opportunity. So I'm like, okay, maybe my writing isn't good. So I started writing more. I started honing that skill even more. To 1 year later, I get this call from this company called Victory Belt Publishing. And they're like, hey, we love your platform. You want to write books for us? Okay. So in hindsight, it's a very good thing. At the time, it was very fresh. It was very raw. Oh my gosh, how can they reject me? I know I have skills and talents to write books, but they didn't see it. But Victory Belt Publishing did see the value that I had to offer, and it then became that opportunity. And now I have 3 international best-selling books. My most famous book, Keto Clarity, has sold 500,000 copies, translated into 16 languages. The Complete Guide to Fasting is also in a bunch of languages. Uber bestsellers. And Rodale, I have a message for you. Because I turned the disappointment that was not getting a book when I knew how to write into an opportunity to get better. And when the opportunity came along that was even better, I'm shining now. So those are but 2 examples just from my life. But you can think of the ones in your life. I mean, just disappointment in general. Maybe let's apply it to weight loss. Maybe you are disappointed that you had a goal to lose 70 pounds and you've only lost 50. And so that last 20 pounds you're feeling like is an albatross. So that's the disappointment. The opportunity to improve with that is, oh my gosh, I have lost 50 pounds. And I'm engaging in habits that are now much healthier for me than I've ever done in my life before. See how you turn it around, you guys? And then once you start doing that, you start applying in your life all these things you learn about. you go well beyond diet at that point. You start looking into lifestyle things, and you're constantly engaged in the community. To me, that's turning that disappointment that you didn't quite meet your weight loss goals into an opportunity to, what else can I do as a means of getting healthy, and through that health, produce this weight loss that I'm desiring. So I hope this is resonating with you guys here today, because this has been on my heart really heavy, that I needed to talk about this whole idea of when life gives you disappointment, you've got to turn it into an opportunity to improve. And 9 times out of 10, when you see it as an opportunity to improve, the next thing that comes along in your life is so much greater than whatever that original thing that you thought was going to happen that you got disappointed in. Whatever that was supposed to be, the new thing always ends up better. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. Welcome in, welcome in. Thanks for being here. I am in a hotel basement, basically, at this NTA conference right now, so that's why it's a little echoey in here. All righty. Let's see. Got enough of that. Thanks. Disappointment is just disappointing, says Wirehead. Yeah. And some people see disappointment and it just wrecks them. And they just totally go off the rails, and they don't know how to, in their minds, see disappointment as a means by which they can improve, and using that opportunity to go to bigger and best. Darla says, preach it. See, that's probably somebody, you're probably somebody, Darla, that has lived this, since you know what I'm talking about. My wife is currently in surgery. This will give me the opportunity to serve her. We'll always serve her, whether she's in surgery or not, but in still, thanks for commenting. Lady Klingon, no such thing as a bad day. Some are just better than others. No, there's some really bad days out there, and I'll be the first to admit I've had bad days. What you do with that bad day, do you dwell on it so that the next day and the next day and the next day all become bad days? That's when I think you need to look at this topic we're talking about here today in that different light of turning it into an opportunity to improve. There's always going to be those days that you wish you could do over again, but it's those days where you learn and you grow. And here's the other thing. You would never appreciate the good things that happen in your life, the successes, the triumphs that you're like, yes, if you never felt the lowest of lows. So you can't feel the highest of highs unless you also feel the lowest of lows. And it's through that dichotomy between the highest of highs and the lowest of lows that those highs feel so incredibly good. So there is benefit when you're disappointed. I'll give you another example that's outside of what we've been talking about already. So back, oh gosh, this has been almost 30 years ago, 25 years ago. I was dating this girl. I was just out of college, and I was dating this girl that I thought might be the one. And I remember it was Valentine's Day, went and got her all the Valentine Daisy things that you do, chocolates and teddy bear and flowers and the whole shebang. And I remember inviting her over to my apartment, and I gave her the gifts. And about 30 seconds later, she said, well, I hate to tell you this, but I'm breaking up with you. I'm like, what? Just totally blindsided me on Valentine's Day. Who does that, by the way? Well, this girl did that. And it was I was disappointed, obviously. And I made, in my mind, I made the decision, all right, I'm done with girls. There's no reason to ever go to another girl again because this is disgusting. This is horrible. There's no way I could ever love another woman. Well, guess what happened a year later? I met Christine. And so Christine came into my life, and I learned to love. And I used that disappointment, great disappointment, with that relationship as an opportunity to improve how I treat the person that would become my wife. And we had our ups and downs, obviously, Christine and I, in the early days of the marriage and everything. But then today, we're almost 25 years married and counting. So that's just another example of when you get life circumstances that make you disappointed. Look how it turns out when you see it as an opportunity to improve. When life gives you lemons, punch life back in the face, take its lunch money, and still keep the lemons. I like that, Wirehead. That's good. Lady Klingon, life changes is the way it's supposed to be. Yeah. And you just have to roll with the punches, that's for sure. When one door closes, another one opens, says Salty Maine. Generally, that's true. Or one door closes, you have other opportunities open. Yeah, I've seen that again and again. And usually the new opportunities are almost always better than those original ones that you thought you really, really wanted. The new opportunities always tend to supersede those old ones. Lady Klingon's commenting about Rodale passing on me as an author. LOL, it's their loss. You as an author, yay to you for not giving up. No, I was not going to give up. You guys know me well enough. I would not have given up on that. I self-published a couple of books. So I did one in 2005 and another one in 2009. So when I wrote to Rodale, I sent them the sales data for the 2009 book, and it was almost 10,000 copies sold of 21 Life Lessons from Living La Vida Low Carb. And nope, that did not influence them. And usually as a self-published author, if you sell 10,000 copies, they usually pay big attention because that's overwhelmingly good. They have some of their authors that don't even sell 10,000 copies. So that's why it was a shocker. But it worked out in the end. I love Victory Belt Publishing. And now I help other authors fulfill their dream. And maybe they were disappointed not getting book offers before. And now the opportunity is coming around for them because I'm now connecting them to this publisher that has given me the great opportunity to write books for them. Lit upon, yes, you're shining, but partly because I have lights right above me here. When God's on your side, his timing is always perfect. Bullock in 2018, I agree with that. I do think that our steps are guided in life. Things don't just happen by accident. And I'm a big believer in that. Things always work out for the best, says Jenny. Not always, but I do think if you see it in a different light than just wallowing in the disappointment, and you see it as an opportunity to improve, maybe there is something that needs to be improved in your life, that then the next time the opportunity comes along, you won't be disappointed and you'll be able to fulfill that, that's for sure. Hoping whatever disappointment triggered this rant, you will turn the best opportunity for you. Lady Klingon, this is not about me. This was not about a disappointment for me. You got to know, I always have my finger on the pulse of what I think people are thinking about and what's on their hearts and minds. So just because I talk about it on Jimmy Rants does not mean it's necessarily something that I'm going through. I just sense, based on emails and the messages that I get, I just sense messages that need to be said. So this was one today that I just had a burden on my heart that there's people probably watching this right now who feel disappointed about something that happened in their life. And I'm trying to encourage those people to, instead of wallowing in that disappointment and, oh no, to now look at it, okay, that's all well and good. Let me use it as an opportunity to improve in some area of my life. But thank you for that. Bonnie Lene, you appreciate the opportunities that much more. That's exactly right. Not getting, but giving. I love that username. Great mindset. Always, always. Nicholas, this resonates with me so much. We would never have gotten Jimmy Rants and all your content if you got that marketing job. Look how many lives you're impacting now. Exactly, Nicholas. And I'll even go one step further. So in 2009, I was still just blogging and I was doing podcasting. I want to say 2009, I was in like episode 300 or 400 something of the Living La Vida Low Carb show. And it was right after the market started to take a downturn, and people stopped advertising on things like podcasts. And I made no money for 8 months. None, zero. And I looked at Christine and I'm like, I may have to give up this Livin' La Vida thing. I don't know how we're going to survive. And so I was this close to giving it all up in 2009, where there would have been no Keto Clarity. There would have been no Jimmy Rants. There would have been none of the things that have come ever since then, had I decided at that point to give it all up. But what did we do? We saw that disappointment and, oh my gosh, is this really something that we can do and continue to do? I wasn't making any money at all at the time. It made it very difficult. And what we did was we really tightened our budget, got rid of cable, got rid of really all the things that we loved in our life, but they were just not necessities. And we stripped down our diet to just the bare necessities and all of our budget, not just the food. And so we got through that time, and sponsors came back, and then I got the book deal with Victory Bell, and all of these things churned everything around for us so that now we don't have to worry about that kind of thing anymore. But had I wallowed in it and listened to what all of those voices were telling me of, oh, well, you couldn't make it, you tried, good job, I never would have gotten to where I am today. And this is a good business mindset for anybody that's looking to do something for yourself. If you're working for yourself and you're at that point where you feel like I just can't do this anymore, dig deep, dig real deep, and don't let that disappointment become the reality. Churn it into a new reality, and that new reality meaning an opportunity to improve yourself and be even better and stronger than you ever were. Kimberly says, learning the hard way that things that have broken me are now rebuilding me bigger and better and stronger, Kimberly, that's for sure. Val says, my faith and my husband helped me handle disappointment. Don't know what I'd do without either one. Yeah, Christine is there for me quite a bit. And I don't really let disappointment bog me down, because I know through every disappointment I can get better. And I talked about this a couple weeks back. I was not invited to speak at any of the major conferences with keto this year, except for the Metabolic Health Summit, which was in January, and then my own low carb cruise, which is coming up at the end of May. But KetoCon, Keto Fest, Low Carb USA, and Low Carb Denver, I was not invited to be a speaker. Now, I know at least 2 of those, they're looking to do more science-y talks. And while I can do a science-y talk, my jam is really talking directly to people in real everyday language. So I understand 2 of those. The other 2, just for whatever the reason, chose not to have me be a speaker. So I expressed that disappointment. But you know what I'm doing, you guys? I'm using that disappointment as a means for what can I do to improve. And so I am working on me, and I'm working on articulating things in such a way that make it so that perhaps they can't help but ask me to speak at another time. I'm also working on the weight aspect of things, which I know probably plays a small role in it, just a little bit. And so taking that 6-month sabbatical, which I've talked about before, starting in September through the end of February, I think is going to move the needle on that, so that when I come back in March next year, I'm better than I was at this point this year. And perhaps those opportunities open up again. So that's another example of how I've turned this disappointment into an opportunity. Susan rocks keto, prayers for the staff work on your wife and for quick healing for your wife. The staff work on your wife. Is something wrong with Christine? I don't know what that means. Sophia, I like to list the awesome things I did this year to improve my health instead of dwelling on what isn't going my way. Sophia, that is the great way to do it. Make the bad days work for you, says not getting but giving. Yes, always. Salty Maine, it's fate. It's meant to be. When one door closes, another one opens. When things happen, they're meant to be. Something better is meant to happen to you. And Salty Maine, not everybody views when things don't go their way as that opportunity, which is why I wanted to do this Jimmy Rants here today. Some people, they say, oh no, and you know these people in your life. They're fatalists is what I like to call them. So bad things happen. Oh, life always is so bad for me. And I'm like, come on, get over yourself. Stop it. Just stop that. Because, those people never get anywhere because they haven't made this shift in their brain that things can be and probably will be better. You just got to keep going. You got to keep trudging forward. And if you wallow in your disappointment, you will never get out. That is quicksand, you guys. You wallow in disappointment and feel sorry for yourself and let everyone around you know about it. At that point, you're never going to accomplish anything. So pick yourself up, dust yourself off, look at the disappointment as some means by which a wake-up call, so to speak, as that opportunity to start improving, getting better, so that when the next opportunity comes around, you're ready and you will take it on and you will likely like it a whole lot better than the original. Mary Ellen, you can always find the positive in something negative. If you just look for it, it turns out to be a blessing in the long run. Exactly. That's exactly right. I was dumped on Valentine's Day too, says Keto Glow. Brittany, the Valentine's Day Dump Club. 8 months later, I found my husband. See, Brittany? That was the same way with Christine. Literally was dumped on Valentine's Day, and I met Christine, when was that? Well, we were going to the same church together, and she was singing in the choir, and this guy in the choir that was sitting next to me said, hey, what do you think about that girl over there, pointing at Christine? And I was like, oh, she's way too old for me, because she was really skinny at the time, which she's talked about. She was 90 pounds, had really thick Coke bottle glasses, and had a hairstyle. She looked much older than she was. And he's like, dude, how old do you think she is? I said, I don't know, early 30s? I was 21. And he's like, dude, she's a year younger than you are. I was like, oh. So the rest is history. Almost 36 years married here. Good job, Lady Klingon. 25 for Bullock in 2018. I believe everything happens for a reason, whether it's a disappointment or a victory. I agree, Ashton. I think those are the things that we have to always remember, that everything that happens is for a reason. But sometimes we dictate what happens to us. And if we don't take those proactive steps that put us one step closer to what we would like to be doing in life, then you really don't have an excuse. And people often say, well, you became successful at what you do. I'm like, yeah, I worked really hard at it and got better at it and looked for ways to improve when life was disappointing. And I think that's the attitude to have. Darla says you're talking to me. Well, I hope I'm talking to a lot of people here today, but I'm glad to hear that, Darla. Keto Friendly says to every action there's an equal and opposite or contrary reaction. What's that, the second law of thermodynamics? You're making my brain work today. Taking negatives, turning them into positives. Yes, exactly. Enjoy the sabbatical, you've earned it. Yeah, it's so funny, all these people, when I announced on Jimmy Rants a couple weeks ago that I was going away starting September 1st through February 29th, I was going away for 6 months. All these people are like, oh, we're going to miss you. What are we going to do? And I'm not gone yet, guys. I'm still here. I'm still here for another 6 months. So 6 months, we'll continue the work. And at the end of that 6 months, then I'm off for 6 months and then back and better than ever in March of 2020. I am so looking forward to this, not being away because I do love the day-to-day interaction, but just to see what happens and if it helps move the needle on fat loss in my belly, which is the primary place on my body that I have fat accumulate. So let's see if being off for 6 months helps with that. That works in some cases, not giving up on businesses, but there's also knowing when to say enough and then not kicking yourself for not making it work and the what if merry-go-round. Yeah, so Lady Klingon is commenting about you've got to just keep going. But yeah, come to that conclusion of, is it worth continuing on, or is your heart just not in it anymore? And for me, my heart was always in my work, the Live and La Vida low carb work. I was not going to stop. And so that's why I did not give up in 2009. Came in late, what happened? Beth, nothing happened. This is just Jimmy Moore sensing that there's people out there that are dealing with disappointment in a negative way, and I'm trying to give them a positive spin, as you are accustomed to seeing here on Jimmy Rants, on how to look at disappointment and now turning it into an opportunity to improve. I get really upset when things do go my way. Oh, I think you meant do not go my way. Always have been, but as I get older and have experienced some tragic things, all the little disappointments just don't upset me anymore. Bridget, I think that's very wise, and I've seen the same thing as I've gotten older too. Look for ways to improve instead of wallowing in self-pity. Exactly. Nobody wants to be around that person. Life is so hard. I don't ever have anything good happen to me. Nobody wants to be around that person. Nobody. So pick yourself up when you're disappointed, dust yourself off, and make something good happen for you. I was upset in traffic one day when a driver in front of me was going too slow for my liking. Suddenly another car crashed into a light pole and it fell on and crushed that slower car. Paradigm shift. I refer to that memory every single time that things don't go my way. Instead, I say thank you, and I'm ready for the blessings I don't know about yet. Beth, I love that story, so thank you. And yeah, perspective. All right, guys, so the bottom line in this Jimmy Rants, when life gives you disappointment, don't look at it as a way of saying, oh no, nothing in life's happening well for me. Instead, turn it around. Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit. Turn it around into an opportunity to improve. Always. Had a similar problem with abdominal adiposity. Like you, I shifted to carnivore. The results start speaking for themselves. Lost a total of 215 pounds, and you were a big contributor. Thank you, Wirehead. Appreciate that. Every day above ground is a gift, says Shearston. Exactly. Woe is me, LOL. Yep, I get annoyed when my family complains of feeling awful but keep eating sugar. I feel bad, but I don't even want to listen. Especially when they don't want to change. That is the hardest part. But they're not seeing their disappointment in continued health and weight woes as an opportunity to maybe listen to you, Bridget, and finally understand and get that this is something that they could do as well if they would just be willing to do it. All right, guys, that's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website, and here's how we do the show. We start off over on Instagram, so go follow me there at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVIN LOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, you can engage live in the content, just like all these awesome people did here today. If you missed the live, it's all good. We put all the past episodes up on YouTube, so go follow me there on YouTube. Just type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. Finally, we have the best of the best moments of this here show in podcast form over on Apple Podcast and Stitcher. Go leave us a review there as well. We need more reviews over on Apple Podcast of this show. Would really appreciate it. JimmyRants.com is the website. And until next time, we'll see you then.